It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor.
Okay, Decatur, it's 9 o'clock, and it's time to meet your neighbor right here on Voices of Decatur with your host, Mike Johnson.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Meet Your Neighbor. Going to get right into it because I am so excited that she is here, and we were going back and forth today, guys. I got to say this one thing. Neighborhood, the weatherman lied to us. He lied to us. I thought we were going to be in 6 feet of snow. It's going to be ice everywhere. It's going to be snow apocalypse all over again. They came out with the salt trucks on College Avenue today. Salt trucks, just up and down, College, up and down. I was like, oh boy. And then it was sunny and the birds were out at 4 o'clock. So Dr. Gandhi called me and was like, you want to just do tonight? I was like, sure, why not? We got Dr. Bindiya Gandhi live in the studio with us. Welcome to Decatur FM.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Sorry for all the mishap. It wasn't my fault.
No, it's okay.
Blame weatherchannel.com for that one.
You know, I kind of predicted this was going to happen, but you know, you just roll with it.
It's cold though.
It actually is pretty cold outside.
It's cold, so we could do with the cold, just not the wet and the snow. So But anyway, well, thank you so much for coming in. And like I said, I have been talking about you for the past, like ever since we connected. Like I've been talking about you for the past 2 weeks. I've been playing some of your clips on Instagram. I was like, I have to talk to her. Like she is right up my alley as far as helping me try to find this answer, this quest to just being better in our community, right? And part of that sector is obviously staying healthy, right? So before we get on to talking about some good stuff, I want to catch everybody up on who you are, what you do. You are Decatur's own because you practice right here in Decatur.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to go through some of the notes. I'm going to just go through the accolades, man. And if I get anything, just stomp on me. Just feel like you got that wrong. So double boarded by the American Board of Family Medicine.
Correct.
Right? You are also you got certified on the American Board of Integrative Medicine.
Yeah, it's a double boarded, yeah.
Okay. You also completed the functional medicine training with the Institute of Functional Medicine in 2017.
Yep.
You're a certified yoga instructor.
I am.
I always mess this word,
Reiki
master. You're a Reiki master, avid writer, educator, expert on nutrition. Like, Where'd you go to school?
Where?
Yeah.
Undergrad, I went to the University of Georgia.
Okay. And then after that?
I went to medical school in Antigua at the American University of Antigua.
She was like, no cold. I needed to be
yeah.
I needed to be warm. How was that experience? Good?
It was great, but I'll tell you this. I didn't appreciate as much as I probably would now. And the reason is because I was in the books the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was away from my family.
Yeah.
So I probably didn't appreciate Antigua. Like, if I go back now to the Caribbean, I'm all about the Caribbean now. But like before, I was like, I can't wait to get out of here.
Hey, listen, I mean, but on a off day, white sand and some beach and a pina colada wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you had at least one or two of those while you were there.
We did.
Okay, that's good. Good stuff. And then what brought you? So after medical school, you did what?
So after medical school, I did my residency in Augusta in family medicine. It's now Augusta University. I always call it MCG. It'll always be MCG to me, but it's now Augusta University. So I did my training there, and then I did my fellowship in integrative medicine through the University of Arizona.
Okay, so you've gone down the path, right? And it was great because a mutual friend of ours made the introduction,
right?
And she said, our friend Rachel said, she has a practice here in Decatur. So, and I got really excited. But then I also start thinking to myself, like, this is going to be a really interesting conversation, because one of the things that I'd love to ask is, why start your own practice, right?
Yeah.
And, and because obviously right out of med school, I mean, there's, you could go work for any hospital or be, why start your own?
So, I'll tell you this. It's always been probably one of my little life goal dreams to kind of be my own boss. Growing up, I did watch my dad have his own business, so I knew I kind of wanted to be my own boss. And that was, I think he kind of instilled that in my head, like, very young. And I'll tell you, I hate saying this, but the traditional medical model is broken, and I just didn't want to be a part of that.
Right.
It was just kind of been there, done that, and I felt like early on I needed to make some moves just to kind of be able to find that work-life balance. I knew I wanted to start a family. I knew there was a lot of things that, a little bit of a freedom that I wanted, that I knew being stuck in a hospital system or working for a large practice I wasn't going to get. Right.
So you open this practice, right? And it's based off of some really interesting core principles that I've seen, between what you relay on Instagram, what's on your website, and what other information via blogs and so on and so forth you put out, and that is integrative, holistic, functional medicine. Right? Now, I want to go through that because I want to define what that is. A lot of us just don't know what it is, right? Yeah. I mean, a lot of us will hear, holistic medicine. Like, what was it? Are you holy? Are you, what I mean?
Exactly.
Jokes. I mean, I'm joking, but like, what are those three things that we're tapping on?
So, first and foremost, I always like to explain to patients, I am a medical doctor at the end of the day. I did go to medical school. So that's the first thing I like to say. So integrative is basically me incorporating other modalities of medicine. So that's where I'll incorporate nutrition, supplement. We'll talk about meditation. We'll talk about your lifestyle. We'll talk about Reiki. We'll talk about, maybe we need to incorporate acupuncture or Ayurvedic medicine. So other modalities of medicine. So the way I like to explain that is basically we're merging East and West, right? And that these are the tools that's going to go in the tool bag to kind of help you feel better, right? So that's the integrative piece. The functional piece is basically some of the testing I'll use. So fancier testing, usually insurance does not cover these tests. And these are the tests I'll use to kind of get to the root cause of the problem. So some of the tests, just for example, are like food sensitivity testing, stool testing that I'll do for some of my patients with GI issues, saliva testing when we talk about hormones and that kind of thing. Now, holistic, the way I like to explain holistic is basically taking the time to go over the whole picture, right? So in a traditional medical model, it's you come to me, you have a cough, I write you cough medicine, you go home, right? That's the broken system, at least the way I look at it. Holistic is you're going to tell me, doc, I've got a cough, I've got a stomach ache, and I have a rash as well. And I look at it and I'm like, oh, okay, I already know what's going on with you. You know?
Right.
I see all those things and I see one diagnosis. Right. Where you go to a traditional doctor, they see 3 different diagnoses, you're going to leave with 3 different medications. I see one diagnosis, and I'm going to treat that root cause, and that's it, and we'll keep it moving.
You know, I've always noticed that traditional, Western medicine is what I'll call it. It seems to treat us human beings as stock cars, right? We're just, you got wheels, I got wheels, you got wheels, headlights.
Yeah.
So you know what? At the end of the day, the wheels on your car should work on mine. Well, that's not the case, right? So when you when somebody comes to you, right? Like you said, I got this, and this, right? Does it, like, what's the process in breaking it down? Like, because I've always noticed when I walk in with a doctor, it's, like you said, cough. All right, prescription. There you go. Come see me in 2 weeks.
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. How do you, how much time are you spending with that person is the question.
So I spend a lot of time with my patients. So a new patient visit, I spend an hour with them. Sometimes we go over an hour, just depending on what's going on. But I allot about an hour time from start to finish. Traditionally, my last practice, a new patient, I was probably spending 15 minutes with them. So I get a very detailed medical history. I want to know what your diet's like. I want to know what your lifestyle factors are. I want to know what your stress levels are like, because all those things play important, in my decision making on how you're going to feel better, depending on what's going on with you, right? So I take my time getting to know you and your circumstances.
Right. And then because one thing I saw on your site that I loved is you said, the meaning of doctor isn't healer, it's teacher.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So what are you teaching along the way as well?
I feel like I do a pretty good amount of teaching with my patients, and I think that's super important because, I always tell patients it's not me that helps you get better. It's actually you. Right. I'm just providing you the tools, and I'm like your guide, right? I'm going to be like your guru, your master, who's going to be here along your side, providing you the right tools so that you make the right decision. So when patients come to me and they're like, Dr. B, thank you so much. You helped me get pregnant. I was like, I didn't help you get pregnant. You did that.
You did that on your own, baby.
Yeah, you really did that on your own.
I was nowhere close for that.
No, but you know what I mean? Like I'm providing you the tools. I'm guiding you, and I'm telling you, all right, change your diet a little bit. Just tweak this here and there. And that's you. You're taking my advice. You don't have to take my advice, right? At the end of the day. But when you take my advice, things change.
Fertility is a big thing right now.
Fertility is huge.
The fact that you brought that up,
yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I think I was just watching, I think Alexa was saying it recently. I mean, there was a story that showed up that, like, the fertility percentages have greatly declined. And, like, you wonder what is that? Is that our food? Is that environment? Is that
there's
stress?
a lot of factors. Actually, I feel like this is like my little niche these days, just doing a lot of research and helping patients out. There's a lot of factors when it comes to fertility. Genetics is part of it. If some people have a little gene that can sometimes inhibit pregnancy, or it can cause miscarriages, so that could be part of it. But lifestyle, a lot of my patients, and I'll say this, so because my population, is older females that come to me trying to get pregnant.
Older being.
Hold on, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
When I say older, I mean they're in their 30s, so
okay.
they're termed older, right? Because they're trying to get pregnant and they're older, but they're really not older, right? So women are now waiting a little older. They're waiting till their careers are kind of in the right direction before they want to have a baby,
sure.
and that there's nothing wrong with that.
That's fair.
But I will say when you're trying to have a baby at 32, verse 22, by 32, guess what else has happened if you're not taking care of yourself? You've gained a little bit of weight. Maybe you've got a little blood pressure stuff going on. Maybe you now have a little bit of diabetes. Maybe you now have an autoimmune condition. So things like that, because you're older, make it sometimes challenging to get pregnant. Or, your hormones are off and, you've been on birth control for 15 years of your life. That's going to be a reason why pregnancy, so there's numerous reasons. But, we get through it all. We definitely get to the bottom line. And
I think for something like that, the psychology of it's got to really mess with,
it
the
does
person when it becomes a little bit challenging.
It does. And patients get really depressed. And here's the other thing when it comes to fertility, right? A lot of patients they want something so badly. Do you know what I mean? They want that baby so badly that they, in their mind, start doubting themselves. Do you know what I mean? And then that becomes the factor. Then it's that whole stress factor that plays into not getting pregnant.
Boom. What happens?
Do you know what I mean?
Body reacts.
And it ends up being, so there's all these things, but that stress, that mind, your mind is so powerful, right? Your mind becomes the reason why you don't get pregnant, because it's like every month you're checking a pregnancy test and it's negative, or you see on social media like your friend just had a baby and another friend had a baby, and it's like it like eats. You're like, but why can't I have a baby? Like, what's wrong with me? The doctor tells me nothing's wrong with me, but it's the psychology, it's the mind, it's that, I see the number one reason, forget medical problems aside, is stress that you put on yourself.
That word is such a easy word to say, but so difficult to conquer, it seems. Right. Like, it's like, oh, you're just stressed. Like, chalk it up to just being stressed.
So, I'll tell you this, like, stress, goodness, and I'm also speaking from experience with stress, right? Stress really affects a lot of things in your life. Stress is sometimes the reason you have cancer. Stress is sometimes the reason you have an autoimmune condition. Stress is the number one reason you're overweight. You know what I mean? And that is something that I think is so important, because you can't get rid of stress. You just can't get rid of stress. It's a part of life. So what I teach my patients is you can't live in a bubble, unfortunately. So here are some tools to help you deal with stress better. Right. Do you know what I mean? Because that's all we can do. Yeah. And once you have the right tools, and for some people it's different. I don't recommend meditation to everyone, because you know what? For you, running may be your meditation. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I could be like, hey, Mike, I really want you to meditate twice a day. You're going to look at me and be like, she's crazy. Like, I don't even know where to start with meditation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But if I'm like, Mike, do me a favor, just run, 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day for a week. That's going to clear your mind. So we meet people where we're at and incorporate it into their lifestyle, because we've got to find something that works for you.
Here's another thing I'm curious to find out. We talk about lifestyle and changing, right? Mm-hmm. And you have patients that come in and you might suggest some lifestyle changes. They might make those changes, right? And then everything gets better, and then it's like, all right, dude, ease off on, I'm make something up. Ease off on the hamburgers, right? So I ease off on the hamburgers and blah, 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 change my diet. And then all of a sudden, things get better. So then I go, oh.
I can eat hamburgers again.
I
knew it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how do you try to, like, explain to them, like, listen, a lifestyle change, is that what it is?
Do you know what? A lot of times, I don't even have to tell patients that. You know why? Because, for example, a lot of things I'll do, I'll tell you, don't eat hamburgers. Well, I'll be like specific. I'll be like, maybe cut out the dairy, or maybe cut out the gluten, or maybe cut out the sugar. Yeah. Right? And you'll go back and you'll go eat the dairy and you'll go eat the sugar and you'll go eat the gluten. And guess what will happen? You will feel like crap. And patients will tell me that. And when a patient feels bad and they know that it's because they ate that, that ooey gooey best Fellini's pizza. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. They know what the trigger was, and they know how they felt when they didn't have any issues. And here they are eating that pizza. And now they're like doubled over on the toilet, like throwing up, whatever. They're like, I don't ever want to feel like that. Do you know what I mean?
Do I know what you mean? I do it all the time. What, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
So a lot of times it's like, okay, then I tell them, well, for example, if you're okay being sick after you eat that pizza, then no, every time you eat pizza, you're going to be sick. And if you're okay with it, then you're okay with it. Right. But otherwise, you don't want to feel like that. You're not going to eat like that. Right. So, and patients over time will realize, you know what, I love that hamburger, but I just can't. Like, I just can't.
Yeah, but it's funny though, because I have a friend of mine who he was and this was more like Western medicine at its best. So he was put on a statin, right? And because his cholesterol was high, which I've always said you can fix that so many other ways than a statin. But anyway, so he gets a statin, and I guess numbers kind of go back and check. So we go out, and he gets the biggest burger on the menu, right? I was like, dude, like, isn't this? He goes, I'm on a statin. Like,
now he's using that as an excuse for it to eat bad. Well,
So apparently the statin's going to fix it, right? Which is not the right way.
That's like with diabetes medicine; it kills me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, my blood sugar's back in check, so I could drink a Coke, right?
Yeah.
So I always wonder what your approach is, especially if you're spending time with people and like you're spending your time to say, let's map out this situation. Let's come to the solution. Boom, here it is. Yeah. Fixed. Yeah. And then now it's fixed. I see you a month later and it goes back to like what have you been doing?
A lot of times, unfortunately, it is it commonly happens in patients. They'll be on a little kick. They'll be like, I'm going to do really good. I'm going to work out every day and I'm going to eat really well. And then life happens, or the holidays. Holidays is a perfect example. From Thanksgiving, from actually Halloween until New Year's, it's like it's an excuse to eat bad, and you're drinking more and you're out more and you're partying, blah blah blah. And so things fall off the wagon. You're not working out as much, and so you come to me and I'm like, your labs don't look that good. Your A1C went up and your cholesterol levels went up, But I also meet them halfway and I'm like, I know you're human. You nobody's perfect. No. I don't expect you to be perfect. And I would never.
It's Christmas, have a cookie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's Christmas. I'm not going to expect you not to enjoy your time with your family and whatever. So, but I tell them, I'm strict with them. I'm like, okay, you have your fun now. You can cheat right now. But January 1st hits. Like, I don't want any excuses.
So I've been you brought up January.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit annoyed because I feel like January is when all the New Year's resolution people take over, like my gym, my yoga studio, everything else, right? So I'm like having to share, which I love. I mean, I'm an avid yogi, so it's like now I'm in here. Like before, we had this amount of room to do a pose. Now it's like kind of like that. Yeah. So, and I'm a tall guy, so I really can't do all the poses, or else my foot's gonna be in somebody's face. So I'm like, February, where are you?
Yeah.
But with that being said, a lot of resolutions come into play.
Oh yeah.
All right, a lot of fitness goals, right? What do you normally tell people with these goals, like making them realistic?
So, I always tell people, start small, right? If you want to lose 100 pounds, that's cool. That can still be your goal. But let's work on small goals. Let's see, let's talk about how much you want to lose this week. How much you want to lose this month. Right. Let's set realistic expectations, because the problem is they can be sometimes overwhelming if you're like, I've got to lose 50 pounds in 2 months. Like that, I'm like, whoa, where do you start, right? Like,
is that even healthy?
No, it's not even healthy, right? Like you should lose about 2 pounds a week, and that's it. You don't want to lose more than that. Right. But just explaining that to people, it can be overwhelming. So, anyways, moral of the story: set realistic goals, something that you're gonna stick to, and be accountable for it. Because a lot of times people will set goals. I can set goals all day. It doesn't mean I'm going to follow through with them. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's got to be some sort of accountability, whether it's a friend, a family, or something you're paying for. That's why, I'm always like, pay for a class or membership somewhere, because, you're paying for something, you're going to go,
That's true. So, yeah, for sure. I mean, pay for the training, because you didn't want to lose that $25, right? So you got to use it.
Exactly.
But what people also do is, I see a lot of people, just stacking on top of the goal. So I'm going to eat healthy, work out, and then, so, I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to get to bed early. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do, so you put yourself
great. That's awesome. But no.
It's hardcore, right?
And if you're one of those people that, you can do it all in one day, that's, hey, more power to you. But again, with my patients, I'm like, I sit down with them and I'm like, listen, let's pick one thing this week that you're going to focus on. And maybe this week you're just going to go to the gym more often. Next week, and when you're at the gym every day and you're comfortable with that, let's incorporate the eating better, right? And then the third week we'll add the sleep. Like we do it in a stepwise approach, because it's overwhelming to do all of it at one time, right? And also I like to tell patients that it takes 21 days for you to form a habit. Right? A new habit. Yeah. So and that may just be, I'm going to wake up at 5:30 every morning and get up and go work out. Well, by that end of that 21 day, your body's into that routine and your body craves it. Yeah. Okay. Well, the next month starts, or the next 21 days, maybe that's when you start your eating. Yeah. Okay. So whatever it is do it a step at a time, unless you're a superhero and can just, dive into it all.
One of the things that you do a lot of, talking about eating too, is, expert nutritionist, right? Which is, I would love to hear your thought on that, because one of the things that we do at the top of the year, aside from the working out is one thing, right? But we all try to change our diet. And I would say people that tend to say, I'm going to work out, will last longer than people that tend to say, I'm going to change my diet, because it's so much harder. You know what I mean? Simple. I'm going to go to the gym. What I got to do, wake up, go to the gym. Go to the gym. Yeah. Right? Versus, I'm not going to eat rice every day. I'm not going to do the same thing every day. So I have to figure out what to eat.
Yeah. So, the diet piece is the hardest. And first of all, I hate the word diet. Okay, because
diet.
Yeah, first of all, when I think of diet implies short term, right? And it should never be short term. It's the way I look at it is dietary changes because it's a lifestyle change, right? That I can't stress that enough. It's always a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
So when people are like, crash course on diets, I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way because you go on strict diets, and guess what happens? I'll give you a perfect example. Keto's like hot right now. Everybody and their mom is doing keto.
I do it. I'll give you an example of that in a second.
It's not bad, right? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with keto, but here's what I want to get at is you do keto and then maybe the holiday comes up or a birthday comes up or you go on vacation, right? You fall off the bandwagon for some reason, whatever, and then you realize, oh, I haven't really been doing keto and it's now been like 2 weeks, and that's okay, right? But then you realize, okay, well, since I've had that pizza and that hamburger, like, I think I'm just going to go ahead and, eat this cupcake. Like, you just fall off the bandwagon and then you slowly creep and you're starting to eat all the way. The moral of the story, you never learned how to eat well when you're on this so-called diet.
Right.
So then you do fall back to your old ways and your old habits and your old routines.
Right.
That's the problem with diets, right? Because if you never learn how to form healthy habits now, right? Whatever diet that is, whether that's keto or Mediterranean, whatever it is you're doing, right? If you never learn how to eat healthy, you're never going to maintain it. And the whole thing is maintaining a diet, right? To be a healthy lifestyle.
Right. So I've noticed a lot of people will do that, right? They'll start and what I tend to do is I will jump into diets, and this is going to sound really weird, but I will do a diet if I read about like the ketogenic diet. I'll read about it and then I'll wait 3 months, 4 months, and then I'll literally go to the lab. I'll draw some blood, see what my blood's doing, right? Like, are my lipids up? Am I, is my C-reactive protein change? Like, what is going on, right? And then if that works, I'll continue. If not, I'll make adjustments, right? What people tend to do is just as you said, they'll jump on and then they'll start introducing things that don't belong into those diets, right? And then things kind of get jumbled up, and then you got to figure out, all right, cool, what was it now? Was it the keto that wasn't agreeing with you? Was it the cookies that you ate? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? So I got to say that's hard, and trying to figure out, like, at the end of the day, if I'm on this diet, I have to figure out how to live in this space. Like, how am I going to be a vegetarian for the next 6 months? Right? No, seriously.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
When you look at people that come to you and say, I want to try this diet and this diet, do you say no? That's not good for you?
So my approach to diet is different, right? Yeah. So I don't like the word diet, but I like to make it an individualized diet. I don't like to generalize and say you go on keto, you do on this, and do. I look at labs, right?
Yeah.
I look at your cholesterol, your A1C numbers, inflammatory markers. If you've got an autoimmune condition, your thyroid condition, and then I'll also look at your food sensitivities, right? I want to know what's going on in your gut. I want to know, are you sensitive? Do you have leaky gut?
What is leaky gut?
So leaky gut. What is leaky gut? Leaky gut, in a nutshell, is basically so in Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese medicine, everything starts in the gut. That's the first powerhouse of where sickness, ailments start. So leaky gut is a term that, functional medicine doctors have kind of termed when your GI system is not functioning well. Now, why you have leaky gut is more what the question should be about. Leaky gut is just a term we use. You have digestive issues, it's leaky gut, right? The real question is, why do you have leaky gut? Do you have a food sensitivity? Do you have food allergies? Do you have a parasite in there? Do you have a bacterial overgrowth, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth? Do you have a yeast overgrowth? So there's other reasons why. There's a reason why you've got leaky gut, right? There's an underlying reason. Is it basically, and it could just be basically, you've eaten like crap for 30 years of your life and now it's catching up with you. Right. Most likely that's usually what
the case is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But then the next question is, well, how do I fix my leaky gut, right? Yeah. I'm not gonna tell you, hey Mike, I need you to follow a paleo diet, because one, you may be like vegan, you may be like, I'm not comfortable eating meat, that's cool, right? I like to look at food sensitivities, and I always use this as an example of sometimes we think we're being healthy because we're eating certain foods like spinach.
Right.
Because spinach is good. Kale
Right.
and spinach are good. But if you're eating spinach and kale and your body doesn't like you eating kale and spinach, it's going to let me know, and it's going to let you know. Sometimes we don't correlate that because we're like, oh, spinach and kale are healthy, but we'll get symptoms. I always use myself as an example. I used to eat oatmeal religiously every single day because it's healthy, right? Oatmeal is healthy. Every morning in med school, blueberries and walnuts and oatmeal, that was my breakfast. Ended up getting a rash and never I went to like dermatologists and numerous doctors, didn't go away. It wasn't until I did food sensitivities and realized oatmeal was one of my high food sensitivities, and I eliminated it from my diet, like everything, got so much better. But I never correlated it because I ate oatmeal every single day, and that was the last food that I would think. When we think of food allergies and sensitivities, most of us are like, well, what new? What did I eat? Did I go out and eat something new? Like, what was it that I ate? You never pinpoint it to the foods that you eat every single day. And that's
How long
usually
did it
the
take
triggers.
to clear up once you stopped?
For me, probably within a couple weeks.
Wow.
Yep. Rash went away. And then I did this whole intensive healing my gut thing. And now I can eat oatmeal all the time. And that's the thing, because I healed my gut. It didn't happen overnight, but I did all these things to heal my gut where I had leaky gut. I didn't know I had leaky gut, healed my leaky gut, and now I can eat oatmeal and I have no issues.
So do you think it was something outside of the oatmeal maybe?
There were multiple reasons. I just use it as an example.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
So oatmeal was part of the picture.
reason.
I ended up finding out that I had celiac. So yeah.
Okay.
So there were other things, but knowing that that I had certain food sensitivities, I religiously avoided those foods for a while. So for me to put people on specific diets and say you need to follow, a paleo diet or you need to follow a vegan diet, it may not work for them. I like to look at numbers and say, okay, you need to avoid these foods that are specifically bothering you.
So it's always been said that one man's food is another man's poison, right?
Yep.
I mean, what's good for the goose isn't,
Yeah.
If somebody comes to you, like if I come to you and I say, I'm vegan, I'm having all these issues.
Yeah.
You look at the blood work, and it clearly states, dude, you need to eat some meat.
Yes. I see that all the time.
Like, sorry, but I hate to break this to you.
Yeah.
But this is just what you're...
So it's a challenge because a lot of my vegan patients, they're very hardcore and they don't want to eat meat. Now, I'll never force you to eat meat. I can encourage you to eat some meat, and at the end of the day, you make the choice. But the numbers don't lie, and it's really hard. And again, I meet my patients where they are because that's just what I do. But numbers don't lie, and if you've got a B12 deficiency and your iron is low, and you've got your fatigue and you've got all these food sensitivities, and they're all vegetables that you're eating, what are you going to eat next, right? Like, what's left? I give you a couple of options. You're going to avoid certain foods, and you're going to end up with other problems. So, it is a challenge, but I do try to encourage patients, when we're in those kind of situations, to do their best to, incorporate other kinds of foods.
At what point, obviously, do you say to yourself, diet, exercise, actual medicine, somebody comes to you, leaky gut, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But they have other things going on.
Yeah.
Like, let's say their cholesterol's through the roof, right?
Yeah.
Do you say you need to get on a statin while we work on this?
So here's the thing. Again, I am a medical doctor. It depends on how high their cholesterol numbers are. So if your LDL is over 150, and here's the other question: has it been like this like your whole life? Do you have a family history of heart disease and high cholesterol? Because I look at all those factors, right?
Yeah.
Was it just a one-time fluke thing?
Yeah.
One-time fluke thing, I'm probably going to say, let's make some dietary changes first, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like consistent and I've been seeing you for a couple years and now your cholesterol levels are getting worse and they're creeping up, I may say, hey, Mike, I'm not a big fan of statins, but I think you need to, and especially after we've tried some natural stuff, right? At this point, if I'm working with you for a couple years, I would hope that we've tried some natural stuff, and if that hasn't worked, then I'm going to say, Mike, you know what? I know your family history of heart disease. I know I know that we've tried some natural stuff. I think we should try a statin because I do need to bring the cholesterol numbers down because that's important.
Now, do you at any given point when you, let's say you give this prescription, the person starts taking it, are you still also trying to bring it down?
Yeah, natural
diet.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. Just because you're taking a statin doesn't mean you can have the burger.
Exactly.
You know what I mean.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna say let's get that cardio in. You know, let's avoid the trans fats. You know, let's tweak your diet a little bit. You know what's funny is a lot of my patients, very smart patients, will come to me and their diet's really good and they're exercising really good and their cholesterol numbers are high, and that's when I'm saying, you know what, it's your genes. It's unfortunately genetics. That means we've got to work even harder to bring those numbers down. I
like to get your opinion on this. So yeah. I've read this book by this cellular biologist, Dr. Bruce Lipton. It's called Biology of Belief, and he always stated that he coined this term epigenetics.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you've heard.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a person saying, yeah, we got to work harder on the genes, but do you think sometimes that it's something that's expressing those genes to create this particular disease, for example?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's the one thing I actually love to look at everybody's genetics, right? Because it tells me so much. Your genetic makeup just tells me a lot about like how you're detoxing, you know, how are you prone to certain cancers? Do you have genetic markers for Alzheimer's? Do you have genetic markers for, you know, for heart disease, whatever it is, you know, like I pick up so much information, but you're right. Just because you have the gene doesn't mean it's going to be expressed. And I like to explain that to patients. Right. You know what triggers those genes that are going to be expressed? Stress. Yeah. Stress.
We're back to the same thing.
Exactly.
Like how do you fix that? You know what I mean? Like it's just that easy word that we say, and it's
our lives are so chaotic and hectic. I mean, and I'm guilty of this. You know, I'm not going to sit here and lie. You know, we live. It's like we were born, and it's instilled in our head to be high functioning, and we have to endure all this stress. And sometimes people can endure it and still be high functioning and be healthy. But you know what? At some point, you're going to have a breaking point. It's just naturally the body can only take so much. Right. And that's why I love looking at your stress hormones to see like where you are, because if there's something that we need to work on now, we've got to address that now.
What are you looking at? You're looking at adrenals, you're looking at thyroid, you're looking at testosterone.
Exactly.
You're looking at all that stuff.
Exactly.
And you're looking for...
I'm looking to see how your adrenals are functioning. I'm looking at your DHEA levels. I'm looking at your cortisol levels. I'm looking at your insulin levels. So...
Right. Wow. I mean, so that's where you take the holistic approach.
Yeah.
Right? And say, you know, let's look at everything. Let's pinpoint a couple things. And here's our game plan. Right.
Exactly.
Sometimes we have to deviate. Sometimes we have to go this way, or we have to go this way until we find the sweet spot.
Yep.
Right. The funny thing is, though, as we get older, that sweet spot changes.
It changes. You know, it's interesting because your body genetic makeup at 20 is not the same body genetic makeup as 45.
Watch your mouth, girl.
No, it's true.
Yes, it is.
Well, you on the other hand may be different.
I'm kidding. No, I'm not. I'm no different than anybody else. No, absolutely.
But I mean, and what I mean by that, for example, you know, when you're in college, you're in college, you've got 5 exams in one day, and you're like partying all night, and you're pulling all-nighters and studying till like 3 a.m, and then you're taking your 2 finals. Like that's stress, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? Some people can handle that stress and be fine.
Yeah.
Right? Now, take that stress and let that be an everyday thing of your life for like 20 years.
Right.
Your body's like, I can't do this anymore.
It's gonna break.
Yeah.
Eventually. I got you. So within that, how much of that, like, do you personally believe in like supplementation?
Yes.
And because I saw you did this one Insta story where you were getting a series of shots, like you were getting a vitamin B12 shot.
Yeah.
Was it vitamin C and D?
Vitamin C and D and B12, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're a big believer in keeping up on that, and that is because?
So different reasons. Like for example, like my vitamin D is always in the tank. Like it's just, and I'll tell you genetically, and because I had my genes tested, I've got one of the genes for a vitamin D deficiency, and I'm always going to be someone that needs to be on a supplement for specifically for vitamin D.
So wintertime, you're
exactly. Yeah. And so even when I lived in Antigua, my vitamin D was in the tank.
What?
Yep, exactly. Because I don't have the even though I'm getting all the sun in the world, it's not breaking down in my body. Yeah. Does that make sense? So so that being said, I know I always have to be on vitamin D. Vitamin C, I think I took that one because I was starting to feel pretty bad. I was getting kind of sick, and my daughter's in daycare right now, so she gets sick, I get sick.
It's the go-to, right?
Yeah, so that's how I was like, I'm around sick people all the time. I'm like, I've got to stay healthy, so she doesn't get anything from me,
right?
You know, so I did that, and then B12, I'm like, listen, I need some energy. I need a little boost. I need to be a little high functioning a little bit. So
are the B12 shots like a really strong, like it'll boost, like it'll definitely make you feel?
Yeah, and I will tell you this. I'll tell you this story. So my grandfather, like, he swore by his B12 shots. Like, he, every time I'd go home to visit him, he was like, the first thing he'd ask me is like, where's my B12 shot? Like, he would get, he wanted it so badly because it was like, it just, and maybe there's something like psychological about it, but it would just give him this boost of energy, and he just felt like so much better with it. But now, if you're B12 deficient, it's definitely going to do something for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, your body needs the extra vitamins. So
not to mention what it does for nerve damage and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So there's numerous reasons why you need B12. You know.
How often can you take it?
Again, so I like to look at numbers.
No, I'm talking about you, the person. Yeah.
For me, so like I think I did that like maybe in December because I was feeling bad. I'm not gonna do that all the time. I also take other supplements on a regular. Yeah. So, but if you're sick, you know, I'm gonna have you take your vitamin. I'm gonna have you take vitamin D shot. Take a vitamin D shot, vitamin C shot, just to boost your immune system.
Right.
So,
well, I didn't even know you could do a vitamin C shot.
Yeah.
I thought it was just.
So we do. So a lot of my patients will come to me and get vitamin C IV infusions.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Cancer patients. Autoimmune patients. It's a very potent antioxidant, right?
I've heard.
So it does wonders.
Now, when you get an IV, like that's obviously way beyond the bottle as far as how much you're getting, right?
Yeah.
Like way beyond the capsules, right?
Yeah.
Like how is that all right to take that much vitamin C? Like for a person?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've always heard, like, you know, it's not a big deal. None of us in this country have scurvy anymore, so we don't need vitamin C, and we don't need as much, or we get it in fortified foods.
Exactly. Technically, that's right. We should be getting our. So here's my theory on vitamin supplements, right? Ideally, we should be eating our nutrients, right? That's what I tell patients. Ideally, if we're eating perfectly, you should be getting enough vitamin C, vitamin D, blah, 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 in our foods. But guess what? We don't, including myself, we don't eat perfect, right? It's just, it's hard. And even if you're on certain diets, whether it's paleo, keto, you're also cutting out certain foods, so you're missing some minerals and vitamins. You're vegan, you're getting some stuff. So nobody eats perfect. That's just, unfortunately, it is what it is. Right. So vitamin supplements do help, and I'm a big fan of like IV shots, and I'm a big fan of not IV shots, like shots and then IVs.
Okay, I was like, IV shots. Is that new? No. No. So shots and IVs. So you're big on that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're big on probiotics.
I love probiotics.
Why?
Oh my goodness, because all systems start in the gut, right? Just a lot of studies are linking depression to an imbalanced microbiome, depression, heart disease, cancers, like everything is just, everything starts in the gut.
Could you explain what a probiotic is doing, or what it does when?
Yeah. So probiotics are basically, so in our gut, I'll explain this. We have good and bad bacteria, right? Sometimes over time, because we eat the standard American diet, you know, there'll be an imbalance of good and bad bacteria. That's when maybe you start feeling a little funky. Maybe your stools are off. Maybe they're a little smellier than normal. Maybe you've got a little bloating, gas, whatever, right? And usually sometimes people pay attention to that. Sometimes people have been dealing with this for years, that they're like, that's normal, you know?
Yeah.
They don't attribute it to my guts off, you know? But probiotics are so important because what they do is they repopulate your gut. They provide a good form of good bacteria back in there, right? Antibiotics. A lot of people, you know, go to the doctor to get antibiotics when they feel sick, you know, and taking antibiotics, or not just antibiotics, different medications will cause havoc on your gut. Stress causes havoc on your gut. So I'm the type of person that I'm like, I won't take a multivitamin because hopefully I should be eating healthy, right? But I'm going to take that probiotic because I want to make sure that my gut is healthy, because I know 10 years from now, they're doing tons of study already on this now, and one of my functional testing I do is a stool test, and it'll come back with, you know, different bacteria that's either overgrowth or not enough of, and they're doing studies on, you know, why is Prevotella overgrowth a bad bacteria? Because when Prevotella is abnormal or abnormally high, I should say, it's linked to autoimmune conditions.
Wow.
Well, I don't want an autoimmune condition, so I'm going to take my probiotic.
Do you think like an overgrowth such as get on a probiotic, can you turn it around?
Yeah.
Turn that environment in your stomach around?
Yeah, you sure
for the
can.
Better?
Yeah, you
your
sure
flora?
can. You sure can.
You know,
for sure.
You know, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you do that, is it probiotic and then obviously changing the diet to keep that environment?
Yeah,
happy?
exactly. Yeah. So if you know, for example, if you, I know they've done studies on this, like patient population where, the one I'm thinking about is for specifically is weight loss, right? Like you take obese patients, you look at their flora. You take a skinny patient and you look at their flora. Their flora is completely different, right? Yeah. They have now formulated probiotics.
Stool.
They've now formulated probiotics to give you the flora of a skinny person. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when patients take that, they lose weight. Go figure, right? That's the only change they're doing is adding a probiotic to their diet.
There was a very interesting study that I saw. I think the NIH had this on their website too as well, where they did this in rats, right?
Yeah.
So they took the stool from a skinny rat.
Yeah.
They did whatever they did to it, and then they gave it to the fat rat, and he lost weight.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like
you're talking about the transplants, yeah.
The transplant stuff.
Yep.
It was
Fecal
kind of gross. It's like,
yeah.
I don't want your poop, but you know.
No, so we in residency, this was a big
Dry.
deal. We did it. We used to do this on patients, like real patients.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so we used to have a patient. I remember 2 specific patients. They both had something called C. diff, which is...
I know what it is.
Yeah.
My mom had it.
Oh, my goodness.
My mom had
Awful,
it.
right?
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, bad. So C. diff patients who have had it for years, chronic C. diff, right? Taking stool from actually one of their family members and inserting it just to repopulate their flora, and C. diff goes away.
Stop for a second.
Yeah.
Like legit, like inserting it?
Yeah, no lie, yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, it's not amazing. It's like kind of, but it's amazing that happens, though.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So the conversation is your gut is really...
It's important.
The brain.
It is. It's actually, it's known as a second brain.
Some would even say it might be the first because it dictates a lot of things that's going on. Like, it's almost like, because I was watching somebody, I can't remember who I was watching the other day, and they said that wouldn't it be interesting to find out that your gut is actually the master and the brain is actually the puppet?
It technically is, because you know, like serotonin and all these like neurogenic hormones are processed in the gut. They're made in the gut, like, and that's mood, right? Like, that's, people think that's brain, right? Like, your mood is brain related. It's really your gut.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. If we know this now, right? Why do we constantly go back to packaged foods? And I've always heard the old saying, like, don't eat anything that doesn't rot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a good way of judging things.
I think there's a handful of people that know this, and they're like, no, I'm never going to eat packaged food, never going to eat processed foods. And, you know, they're pretty good about sticking to it. But I think the average American, I think it's hard. I think it's just everybody's in this rat race of life, you know? And I think it's just, they're just, you know, it's hard, you know? I can kind of relate sometimes. Like, I'm a new mom, and like, now I've got to take care of my daughter. I don't have time for myself like I used to before I had her, you know? Things are changed, and I don't always have time to make the best, healthiest meals like I did before she was born. You know, I don't have time to cook as much as I used to. You know, so I can see how it's easy to fall off the bandwagon and do what's cheap and fast and eat at McDonald's and buy frozen food. It's easy and cheap to do that. I get it. I don't want you doing that by any means. You know, right. But I understand why people do that kind of stuff. They're just trying to they're just trying to get through the day or whatever it is.
Right.
You know.
I've always heard too that a good way to look at it and think about it is the old saying, "You are what you eat."
Yeah.
Now the old saying is, "You are what you eat eats."
Yeah, no, seriously.
Like whatever you eat eats. Whatever they ate.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
No, it's
at the end of the
so
and that's true. It's
so true.
No, it's
yeah.
legit.
No, so true.
You know what I mean? So it's just like if just to find some kind of like way to stay on track with going to Publix or the DeKalb Farmers.
Whatever it is.
I'd rather you go to the farmers market, but wherever you go, as you go through it, because I find myself reading labels a lot, and
you have to.
You know what I mean? What's in this? What's in that? And trying to.
It's important because, like, there's hidden chemicals and sugars and everything you buy.
And that's the thing that I don't understand, why we don't question that. Like, what's maltodextrose gum? Like, you know what I mean?
Like why?
Why? What is? Never heard of it before.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes I always tell patients, if you can't pronounce it, maybe you shouldn't eat it.
Just like, apple, orange. You can spell it, right?
Seriously.
No, legit.
And I always tell patients, like, shop on the outside of, if you're at the grocery shop, on the outside of the periphery. Like, it's fresh, whole foods, like, you don't need anything in a can. You don't need anything in a box or anything frozen. Just don't even do it.
Right. So, but then here's a question though. So if it's that simple, why is it so expensive, right? To do that, like it's expensive to eat the right food, right? Yeah. It's expensive to get the tests that you need, like those types of things. I mean, because you said it earlier, like insurance doesn't cover it. I mean, obviously for those who want to, better their health. Yeah. It's in your best interest to do it and find out.
I know.
But it's a little tough. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the answer for the one person out there that's like, man, I gotta figure this out. I gotta feel better again. I'm tired all the time. I mean, it's the standard stuff that we hear. And I'm pretty sure you hear it more than I do with my friends, because people come to you like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm always, I'm irritable.
Yeah.
My appetite is whatever.
I always will tell patients, start with fixing your diet. Forget food sensitivities, forget all the fancy things. Just eat clean, right? Try if you're able to and can afford it, eat organic as much as you can, as possible. Look at the Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15. If you can only eat certain foods that are organic, then choose those. But
wait, the Dirty Dozen. Mm-hmm. Those are certain foods that are on. I think strawberries on there.
Strawberries is on there.
Not a good
You want to eat that organic only. Yeah.
Because of the pesticides and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah. So I always like, great, if you can afford to eat every fruit and vegetable organic, do it. By all means, that's awesome. But if you can only pick and choose, make sure strawberries is always organic. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can only buy that in organic, fine. At least we know that's good. Yeah. But it's just unfortunately the way it is. I wish I had an answer to why eating healthy was expensive. A lot of it has to do with the government, the system, and we have to do it with.
I don't think I was looking for an answer from you, more so than I was like, what do you tell the person when we all realize what the obstacles are?
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously, financial is one thing. It can get expensive.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah, I mean, you go out to Whole Foods, and
you're spending. Listen, you go to Whole Foods for two things, and you're spent $100
easily. I think Whole Foods and Target same way. You can't walk out of either of those places without spending a minimum of $100.
I know. You're like, what did I buy?
You know what I mean? I remember not to get off subject, but I remember I went to Whole Foods one time and I took a picture of the cart and I sent it to some friends and I said, how much do you think I'm spending? And one of the things they couldn't make out, they said, that box right there, that's got to be at least $50. That looks expensive, right? So it's like he didn't even know what it was. It was like, that looks expensive, whatever it is. So
I don't know what it is, but it looks. I totally get it.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just like sometimes you think to yourself, well, what can I tell people? Yeah. And I ask you that just so I could, relay the message from you. Like, why don't you try doing this instead of this? Like, stay away from the,
I do tell patients, buy foods that are in season. Go to the farmer's market, whether it's DeKalb farmer's market or even like local farmer's market, whatever it is. Like, buy organic, buy in bulk. There's certain tricks you can do that'll make things a little cheaper. Not all the time, but do your best.
You let's get on. You're one of the first doctors. Well, not one of the first, but very few doctors I've met that will ask the question, "Do you meditate?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? Most people look. I mean, if you told any of my friends that, they'd be like, "No, what do you? What is this?
What is this?
Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
What's the science behind it? And does it really help?
Yes.
Is a question.
So, I mean, there are studies on meditation, like numerous reasons. You know, it helps with depression, with mood, improve stress, decrease cortisol. It helps you sleep better, brings down blood pressure. You know, actually helps cancer patients. You know, when patients are in better moods, they're more likely to beat the cancer, right? Because they've changed they've changed the outlook of the cancer. So I mean, there's numerous studies on why we should all be meditating. I will tell you this. I was fortunate that I was exposed to it at a very young age. Not everybody was exposed to it. So that's why sometimes it is foreign when I'm like, meditation, they're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, and it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, for someone who's never meditated, it's really hard. They're like, where do I start? How do I start? You know, I will say though, you know, we're at an age where we've got some tools now that I love. Like, there's a Calm app. You know, people can use the Calm app. People can go on YouTube and Google meditation. You know, we live in Decatur. There's a lot of meditation studios here. You know,
Shambhala Temple.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're fortunate where it's not as hard. If you want to try it out, you get the right tools, you do it. You know, there's books on meditation. You know, so but you know, it's not something that the average person thinks that I need to do.
Right.
But it's so important.
You walk into it saying, "This isn't gonna help."
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I'm just sitting still.
It's
right?
so important, and I promise it'll change your life. Like your mind, you know, forget the gut aside and everything. Your mind is powerful.
It is.
Your mind is powerful, and it can make or break you. And my aunt, she's like a big yogi, and so she's always like, you need to learn how to control your mind. Your mind can't control you. And so that is why you meditate, because you need to control your mind.
Yeah. One of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
Where do you ask somebody that question, they say no, you know, do you point them in directions like try these apps and so on and so forth?
I do. Yeah. I have a couple favorites, so I'll always like point them to like a couple YouTube links, and I'll be like, start off here. If you don't know where to start off here. There's guided meditation. There's, you know, meditation is such a broad term these days. There's different types of meditation, you know?
Hey, are you hip to Muse? The Muse band? The Muse sensing band?
I don't even know what that is. What is
so
that?
It's this really cool thing, right?
Okay.
I'll show you like after we get off. But so it's for people like me who are completely like ADD. That's
is it
like,
the headphones?
No. So it's this headband that you put on, right?
Okay.
And then you got headphones in.
Yeah.
So what happens is, it'll start off by reading kind of like the electricity, right?
Yeah.
So the electricity means obviously you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a lot of activity, high voltage.
Yeah.
So it starts off by saying, you know, calm your breath, just concentrate on your breath.
Okay.
And we're about to start meditation right now.
Cool.
Then when it starts it, you just hear the sound of the rainforest, right?
Okay.
So it's really calm.
Yeah.
The minute you start thinking, so you're concentrating on your breath, right? You're really calm. The minute you start going, oh, I got to pick up the kids at 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Activity starts happening. So then in your headphones, you start hearing like the wind starting to increase, the rain starting to go. And it sounds almost like a hurricane. Like the more you think,
that's
you know what
awesome.
I mean? The minute you kind of say, whoa, I need to get back to the breath, and you focus on the breath, rain stops.
Cool.
All you hear is birds.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool. That's
awesome.
It's a really cool. It's a cool tool to use to start learning how to
meditate.
Right. What I'm scared about is sometimes like it can be a little bit crutchish. You know what I mean? Like I can't meditate until I have like where are my birds? Where am I? You know what I mean? So, but it's a good introduction to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I'll have to keep that.
Yeah,
in mind.
you got to check that out. It's really I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah.
To see if it works, but you know the fact that you can go to places like YouTube.
Yeah.
Such an
open
access kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, because things have changed, you know. But I feel like if you come to me and you're like, Dr. B, I want to learn how to meditate. Where do I start? I'm gonna point in the right direction, because we're at an era where you can. It is not difficult, and it should not be difficult to be able to attempt and learn how to meditate.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, there you go, gang. Make sure you do it, because I have started to learn that it does help.
Oh yeah.
I think the hard part is obviously being consistent on it and just doing it for 21 days.
It's hard,
right? To make it a habit.
But when you do it, let me tell you, your body craves it. It's like you need it. It's you need to do it.
Yeah.
It's like you get that peace of mind.
And it definitely just can change things. It can tip things to
It really does. It really, again, that mind is so powerful, like it really changes a lot of things.
Yeah. So what else is on tap? Like, I know you're trying to change the world and make sure people are healthy. And what else are we looking to get out of Dr. B in the 2019 year? What are we looking for? What are you trying to do? You're trying to solve what? What are we trying to? We're trying to eradicate cancer.
I know.
I know, right? No pressure.
Oh my goodness. Last year, honestly, I'll tell you this. So a little side story. So I started my practice December of 2017.
Yeah.
I had my baby February of 2018. So literally I was in practice like 6 to 8 weeks before I had my baby.
Yeah.
So last year was like I was birthing both my baby and my practice, and I was nurturing them, watching them grow. Well, my practice is a year, my daughter's a year. Now I feel like I can like let go a little bit and kind of like do some other fun things.
Yeah.
So our practice is definitely growing, which is nice. I'm excited about, all the we are adding this whole aesthetic piece to our practice. I'm excited about that. But one of the things I like, I love writing, and I'm hoping that I'll get to do more writing and see where that goes.
Right. What do you want to write about? Anything in particular?
I actually want to write about fertility. That's kind of
really,
that's kind of something that I've been like talking and playing with. I'm like, I need to write a book.
Do you get that a lot? You must get that a lot for you to, or you just feel like there's a need for it.
Well, I think there's a need for it, and I see a lot of patients that are
struggling.
that I see that are struggling with fertility, and I feel like I need to write a book, and I don't know how I'm gonna do this with a baby, but
you'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
No, I know you will. I mean, you got your hubby over there.
He
can take care of the baby while you're writing, right?
Yeah.
So, how many people in the practice? Just you, or?
So myself. So we see patients Monday, Wednesdays, and half day Fridays. So it's 2.5 days a week.
Okay.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are really just admin days. Catching up on work, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have a nurse practitioner. Her name is Dr. Cheney Davis, so she sees patients on Mondays.
Okay.
And then I have 2 MAs, Nicole and Samantha, and Miss Deborah. She's my front desk.
Where's your office, so everybody knows?
So my office is Revive Atlanta MD off of North Decatur. It's actually diagonal from DeKalb Medical Center.
DeKalb. Okay.
Yeah.
I think
where the new Whole Foods is, and
where your new $100 is going to be spent.
Exactly.
No, actually, I know exactly where you're at, because I actually go down to LabCorp.
Right there.
And get my blood drawn is where I normally go get that stuff. So
Exactly.
you're not too far from over there. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then you're still doing yoga?
I do. So I don't teach. I wish I could teach, but I don't teach. But I do yoga. I like to go to yoga classes more than practice.
Where do you go?
I go to Red Hot Yoga in Buckhead. Do you know where that is?
Oh no! Come on now, that's got to change. Oh no, that's got to change. You got to do me a favor. You got to come to my spot.
Where do you go to yoga?
Tough Love.
Oh yeah, okay.
Have you been to Tough Love?
I've never been. I've heard a lot of good things about Tough Love.
They're great. Actually, they're gonna. I got the great proprietor of that place, Netta, and 2 of her instructors. They're actually going to be in here on Monday.
Oh,
We're
cool.
doing a show on Monday, but I'd love for you to get introduced to a studio in the hood, man. Going to Buckhead. Why are you letting her go to Buckhead, man? No.
I'll tell you.
Nothing against Buckhead.
No, you know why? I'll tell you why
Why
I go to Buckhead and why I go to Red Hot Yoga is because I first got into yoga in college. It was like 2003-ish. And this was when I was in Athens, and then when I moved to Atlanta, before I went to med school, I started going to yoga, and the instructor was Bethany, and she was at that time I was at Atlanta Hot Yoga, and so I just loved her and her teaching, and I just kind of followed her throughout these years. And even though I went to med school and did residency all over, I always came back to Bethany. She was kind of like your guru, your teacher, and so I just have a lot of respect for her, and that's why I keep going back there.
I can respect
because she's
that.
awesome. And so
you like hot yoga?
I do. So I'm like
A night like tonight is perfect. But.
Yeah, like I like Bikram yoga, but I'm a very avid like vinyasa yogi, power yoga girl. Like that's my jam.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Pretty flexible. You're pretty. You can hit some poses, some shapes.
I mean, I'd like to think so, but I don't know.
I'm working on my flying pigeon right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work out. But
yeah.
but it's been working progress.
Yeah.
I always pick a pose and it's like I have to master this particular pose.
That used to be me. I used to make my husband like watch me and be like, watch me do this right. Am I doing this right?
That's my wife all the time. Hold on, let me get him on here. Good. What?
Take a video, take a picture.
Oh yeah, my wife does that all the time. My wife does that every single time for me.
And then I'll get the picture wrong. Why didn't you tell me my leg wasn't
Yeah.
straight?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Do it again.
Yeah, do it again. I gotta suck in my core.
Baby needs you right now, and you're like, I'm taking pictures of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's great. And then talk to me about this, because I know we got to wrap up, but talk to me about this Reiki master.
Reiki, yeah.
What is that?
So Reiki I love Reiki. It's energy medicine.
Okay.
It's basically comes from Japanese tradition, many years ago. I like to explain it by aligning chakras. We have chakras all over our bodies. Yeah. When one of our chakras is off, it kind of leads to maybe your thyroid. So it's not just your thyroid. It can also be you have a hoarse voice, you have a cough, you have a cold. Like it has so many more so much more connotation than just a chakra. Like it's part of a personality. So fertility one, when fertility is off, sometimes it's the chakra, and that chakra is your sacral and root chakra. So there's just a lot of things that I just love it. I don't get to do a lot of Reiki on my patients. I just pick up on things though.
But I'm fascinated by the fact that you did it. Like, so when you say, I get the chakras and the energy medicine. What are you doing during it though? Like, what is it? What's happening? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what is it? What's going on?
So you're.
That's a good question.
What is it saying?
So, it sounds funny, but you're basically, as a Reiki practitioner, I'm putting back energy into certain fields, into certain chakras, into certain places that need energy. It's rebalancing it just by me touching the patient, laying hands on the patient. There's like this energy conversion that happens, and patients usually feel it and they feel better. Yeah,
but what if you walk in and you got bad energy?
Like I have bad energy? Yeah, it's possible. Then I'm not doing Reiki on anybody when I have bad energy.
Okay.
No, so there's this whole like thing that you have to do. Like I do this whole clearing system, clearing my energy before I touch someone, and then I'm clearing my energy because I just touched them. So I don't want their energy, if it's negative energy, to like transfer to my next patient.
Okay.
So there's this whole like, what's the word? Ceremony thing that you do before you do Reiki.
I like it that you're very well-rounded. Like you look at all aspects, the full spectrum of what's going on. And I feel like we are missing a lot of people like you in our field, because, like I said, somebody comes in, it's not about it being a business anymore. It's like you actually care. What is it that I can do? Not that I can do, because they're going to do all of it, but what can I suggest? It's going to change them versus going big pharma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't necessarily need to do that.
No.
It's good that it's there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I will never ever denounce it, because there are times where it is needed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But at the rate that we tend to be addicted to it, is what I call.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the right way. Like that's not medicine anymore, and that's not healing.
No,
right? So
I agree.
So I can appreciate that, and I appreciate you being part of my neighborhood and my community.
Yeah.
And I definitely would love to gonna have you back.
Oh, well, thank you.
As we continue to stalk your Instagram for great tips, that you're providing. No, I mean it's legit. Like anything that I can do to help, your word go to our listeners, our community, and make them better. Have them come see you. I mean that would be perfect.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
thank you
for being here.
Me. Yeah, this is fun.
And this was just an intro, and I know we covered a lot of things, but next time maybe we just pick one thing, and I mean, if you go to our website, guys, like it's literally like you'll see like all kinds of different topics. Like I wanted to talk about the magnesium stuff.
Oh,
I mean, there's another thing. You know, she's got like the top health trends. Like there's a whole bunch of things that Dr. B basically does on a regular basis to kind of keep you informed and let you know things that you could do to work on that self-care. So important today.
Self-care is so important.
So important today.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Any quick like what's up? Where can people find you aside from going to your location? What's your social and give everybody the whole shebang?
So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's at Dr. Bindiya MD.
Okay.
So just at Dr. Bindiya MD.
Yeah.
And Revive ATLMD.
Revive ATL MD.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And any plans for the up and coming weekend? I know it's only Tuesday, but I keep thinking about Friday. So
it's my daughter. My daughter officially turns 1 on Saturday.
Happy
So
birthday.
I'm planning this whole big shebang. Really for me.
Yeah. Well, the first one is always for you, right?
It's not for her.
No.
It's really for me. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
actually
always for you.
excited about it, and I'm fortunate because my husband he does like event production, and so I'm making him work. I'm making him put together this big shebang
if her
for my
party
daughter.
isn't like if her first birthday party isn't what her sweet 16 is gonna be, we're gonna have a problem, Dad.
I hear it.
You know, you got some working to do.
That's
No
right.
stress.
No
And it ain't
stress.
and it's not even for her. It's for your wife.
Oh, I know.
You know, are you gonna make her do the cake thing and do the cake smash?
Yeah, I've got so we're fortunate because, you know, like I said, my husband's in the industry, so we have a lot of great vendor friends, and so like I have Carlton Cakes who's offered to do our cake, and I'm so excited to see how it looks.
Who's doing your photography?
Our photography. So Rachel's actually coming as a guest.
So she's not working.
And she's not working. No, I made her work enough times.
Right.
Actually, she's another friend, Brooke. Brooke is with Styled and Snapped, and she's doing my
Oh,
photography.
good. Oh,
so.
fun.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Oh, good stuff. Well, we're looking forward to, I'm pretty sure, seeing some
You'll see
Insta
some
pictures.
pics.
We'll share some for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll share some for sure with you guys.
Thank you so much for passing by Decatur FM.
Thanks here. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So there it is. Dr. B was in the building. She came. She saw. She conquered, and she's going to be back. And we're going to have her back and talk about some great things. Looking forward to another great week. Like I said earlier, next Monday we have Netta back in here from Tough Love, along with Greg, one of her instructors, and Carly. And then on Thursday, this guy is a genius at manufacturing. He does some cool stuff from anywhere from the Department of Defense to NASA. My buddy Mitch Free is going to be in here, and we're going to have quite a bit of a conversation on how things are made.
Cool.
And how we can build great things for our community.
Oh, I
so
like that.
I'm looking forward to that. So until tomorrow, we'll talk to you then, and enjoy the day, Decatur, right here on Decatur FM. See ya.
This is Decatur FM. We are any and everything Decatur.